Alright, so for today's video, we are going to be talking about tone and trying to figure out how to find a tone of a piece of writing, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples here as well. You should have a packet out that starts with a list of words to describe the tone with definitions. We'll get to that packet here in a little bit, okay? But first, the question is, what is tone? And a lot of people confuse tone with mood and the mood of a story. And so the definition of tone is the attitude of the author towards a certain subject or topic. Whereas mood is how it makes you feel. It uses words and things to make you feel a certain way, either like emotionally usually. This one is more about your attitude and how it makes you feel about a subject. Either you like it or dislike it. And so the author usually shares their opinion in some way, shape, or form, and then it gets passed on to the reader. So usually the tone, especially with a novel, short story, poem, whatever it is determined by the words that the narrator uses as well as the attitude of the narrator towards that subject. And tone is kind of like when you're actually like saying it out loud. How are they, how does it sound? How would you read it if you were in that position? Or how would you say it if you were in that position? And so, as I think we know, there are some words that when you hear them, it has a negative connotation to it, rather than a positive one. And so you want to be looking for those kind of words when you are trying to figure out what the tone is. And so the question here is how to find tone. First thing you do is you need to figure out what the topic is that you are reading about. So we're going to be reading about American dreams and dreams in general. And so I think that it's going to be a topic of a lot of the poems, a lot of the stories that we're going to be reading here over the next little bit. And so once you figure out what that topic is, what's the subject of the piece, bigger picture, not, little details, you need to figure out if it's positive or negative, if the author's attitude towards it, their tone. And then once you figure out if it's positive or negative, then you can go in a lot of different directions because there's a lot of negative words and there's a lot of positive words, as you'll see here in a little bit. And so just basically figuring out, okay, I know it's negative, it sounds negative, but which direction in the negative way is it going? Okay? So, with that being said, you need to go to the list of words with definitions. Let me zoom in here just a little bit for you. So, what I want you to do when I'm done talking here is pause the video and complete the activity here. And so, what you're going to do is read each tone word and definition and mark it with a plus if you think it's positive, or a negative sign if it's negative, or an equal sign if it's neutral. It can be neutral. A lot of times novels and short stories and things like that are not neutral. A lot of times it's more saved for scientific or nonfiction, but even nonfiction can have a positive or negative tone to it depending on what you believe in, especially if it's like political, if it's debatable, those kind of things. So just the first one here, accusatory is charging of wrongdoing. Well, if you're accusing someone, that's usually a pretty negative thing, so I would put a negative sign next to that one. So what I want you to do now is just pause the video real quick and then go through and figure out which ones are positive and which ones are negative. And when you unpause it, we're going to go to the back side here and we're going to do a couple of these together, okay? All right, so you should be unpaused, and now you should be on the back side. And now we're going to be talking about this piece. It's an excerpt from a piece called Freedom by John Ruskin. And so when you're reading it, I want you to figure out, okay, what's the subject matter? And then what's the tone? Is it positive, negative, or neutral? And then what is the topic there? So this is the piece. You will send your child, will you, into a room where the table is loaded with sweet wine and fruit, some poison, some not. You will say to him, choose freely, my little child. It is so good for you to have freedom of choice. It forms your character, your individuality. If you take the wrong cup or the wrong berry, you will die before the day is over. but you will have acquired the dignity of a free child. So the first question here is, the topic is children having what? And I think there is a little bit of, if we're going to say like wine and fruit, that's not necessarily what the topic is about. I think it's about freedom, about individuality, maybe about choice. So I think that this one, the topic is children having choice and freedom. Is the tone positive, negative, or neutral? Now, I think there is a little bit of a discord here. I think there's a little bit of a, he says one thing, but I don't know if that's what he really means. Because he says here, if you take the wrong cup or the wrong berry, you will die before the day is over, but you will have acquired the dignity of a free child. So basically it's saying you can choose stuff, and if you take the wrong cup or the wrong berry, you will die before the day is over, but you will be a free child. And I don't know if this sounds like someone talking to parents and saying basically, yeah, your kid will be free, but they'll be dead. And I'm not entirely sure that's a good thing or not. So I'm seeing this more as like they don't believe that kids should have just complete control or complete freedom in their lives. So I'm going to go with negative on this one. Now, the tone is a certain word up here. So I'm looking up here, and I'm looking through some of these. Cynical, questions of basic sincerity or goodness of people. It's kind of that. Maybe condescending. It sounds kind of condescending, where you feel like you're superior over someone else. So maybe condescending might work here. Derisive is kind of mocking parents who maybe believe in that and that their kids should have, complete choice. So it might be that one. Mocking, again, it could be that one. Sarcastic or sardonic, or satirical. So I think there's a couple of choices that you could choose from, but I think it's saying that it doesn't truly believe in what it really meant. And so I'm going to go with either mocking or satiric or sarcastic for this one. All right, the next one is The Way Things Work by David McCulley. The kind of nuclear reaction that happens inside a nuclear reactor is called a nuclear fission. The fuel is uranium or plutonium, two very heavy elements which have many protons and neutrons in their nuclei. Fission starts when a fast-moving neutron strikes the nucleus. The nucleus cannot take in the extra neutron, and the whole nucleus breaks apart into two smaller nuclei. So the topic, maybe nuclear fission. And then it just kind of says what happens. I don't see anything here that would tell me if he likes it one way or the other. It's just kind of facts. And so I'm going to go as neutral. And then going back up, looking for a neutral one. Apathetic is kind of neutral. You're indifferent. But that one's really you don't care. So I don't think this guy doesn't care, because why would he be writing it then? So let's look for a different one. Didactic, wanting to educate or instruct the reader. That might be a good one for this one. Erudite, learn, polished, and scholarly. That one might be a one because it sounds really smart. I'm not a science person, but it sounds smart. Objective, an unbiased view, able to lay personal judgments aside. I think that one would work as well here. And sincere is kind of in that realm, but I think sincere is more like you're really passionate about something. You're real about whatever you're talking about. And I think this one's more factual. This one's more about the actual thing. So I'm going to go objective, or I'm going to go with oh, I lost the other one. Didactic. I'm going to go with one of those two. All right, and this last one, I'm going to have you try by yourself. And so this one is from Dave Barry. And so he is saying here, you never found out why these men spend so much time shaking hands in beer commercials. Maybe shaking hands is just their simple, straightforward, burly, masculine, American, patriotic way of saying to each other, Floyd, I am truly sorry I drank all that beer last night and went to the bathroom in your glove compartment. So figure out who he's talking about. Is the tone positive, negative, or neutral? And then what is the tone there, okay? So here's my video, and you're done. Bye.